Welcome into Weekly Champions here on the Wrestling Spotlight channel, joined by the host of the Wrestling Junkies Podcast. You see them here frequently. We just aired their interview with the editor of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, breaking down the PWI 500, one of the articles of record for pro wrestling for years. Mr. Cincinnati and podcast dad. And guys, a great nugget too, that 13 wrestlers were guests on the Wrestling Junkies podcast that made the PWI 500. So that's really impressive. That shows the reach and how much you're covering that independent wrestling universe.
Yeah, no, it's something I think, I don't want to speak for Mr. Cincinnati, but I think it's something we're both very proud of and very, very honored, A, to do this, and B, to have people like that come on our show and thoroughly enjoy what we do.
Yeah, it's easily one of our favorite parts of the job is getting to bring talent on and getting to learn about them and what their goals are, what their aspirations are, what makes them tick. And it's just very, very honored to have had that distinction this year for them.
Well, and it's great to be able to, turn the spotlight on those wrestlers too, because they're putting in the work, they're grinding away. We're going to have on the stiff Robo Ginger, Gary J, coming up next week on Wrestling Spotlight, and take a look at his schedule and the commitment that guy's putting into it, making a 4-hour drive from St. Louis to Kansas City, then going up to Iowa, then going to Chicago. And that's the reality. I mean, it's the old territory model come back now with all these different independent territories, a lot of them that you can see here on the channel, that are firing away and doing new programming, new shows on a weekly basis. It's really great to see, and it just shows that rising tide lifts all the boats. I mean, you guys were on, we had on our friend Sonny the Man Eagle Kane, and he was a wrestler active at the time when WWE bought out WCW. It's a long time ago now, but that was enough to basically freeze the industry for about 10, 15 years. And you didn't have all this independent and, like super independent territories, like Glory Pro that produces weekly television programming, Coastal Championship Wrestling. They didn't exist. That wasn't an option for the wrestlers. And it's great to see that. And I think you guys could probably agree with this. When you get a chance to talk with the wrestlers who are working that independent circuit, they really do love the chance to perform, love the sport. And it's really rewarding to hear them and just let them tell their stories. Is that something? Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, with we've had so many different people on the show that are in different eras of their career and have different aspirations. And, like you said, Gary J is kind of that true road warrior, the unsigned, don't care. You see guys like Jameson Shook and seeing him win the Action Futures tournament. And, last year's winner, Jay Malachi, is now in NXT as Javon Evans. Like, it's just such a wide variety of talent that we've been able to talk to and get to know that, they all bring something different to the table. And that's what makes wrestling so exciting. And that when you really want to sit down and just enjoy it and take the tribalism and all of the angst out of it and, armchair booking, it's really a sight to behold.
Yeah. And I think you said it best. Like, wrestling's just in a really, really good spot right now because there is so many places to work and so many people wanting to do it. And we've been lucky enough to get some really, really good talent on the show. And when you show that support, they show it right back, right? It's cool to see us getting shout out from wrestlers. Like, that's something we never thought when we started this that it would happen. But we also go down and see them, and you can kind of tell how appreciative they are to see us and say, okay, you guys actually do really care, and we do. And that's something that everybody can go do right now. You don't have to have a podcast or anything like that. Just Go out and support your local independent wrestling if you like wrestling, and you'll see and make those connections with those wrestlers, and you'll see how important it is for those wrestlers to see you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And be part of it. And like I've said a lot, this is nothing against WWE, AEW, TNA,
Oh,
Ring of Honor, New Japan. Those are all great shows to go to. It's a terrific experience. But it's a different experience when you're at the local independent show where there's a crowd of, I don't know, 400, 500, 700. You're right there on top of it. And you can go talk to the wrestlers during the intermission. I mean, it's just it's a different level. There's different energy. And it's definitely worth going to. If you're a casual fan, you watch WWE, you watch AEW, and you didn't even know there was a local independent wrestling show. Take the time, go. It's well worth it.
Yeah, but it's funny you bring that up. Just real quick, it's funny that you bring that up, just because anytime that I tell people what we do as far as our podcast, and especially if they're not familiar with pro wrestling, that's probably one of the first questions I get is, wait, do they do that like around here? And I'll tell them, oh, well, here are all the areas in Cincinnati that have these promotions. Go check them out. And that is a very common question when people hear that you're a wrestling fan, is okay, is there something local? It just, now it's time to translate that to to those, that attendance, and increasing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that 1 or 2 tickets makes a big difference to that local promotion. And then going back, because usually after you go once or twice, then hey, you're ready to go every month, or a couple times a month when that promotion has their events. So it definitely gets you hooked. Well, hey, something that shows that you can still get some people hooked. AEW, I have the picture up behind me. That's Arthur Ashe Stadium at the U.S. Tennis Center. There was talk, hey, they were only going to have like 4,000 people there. They ended up with almost 10,000. They had a great walk up the last week, and really was a terrific show, a pay-per-view caliber show. Started off with a match from Ring of Honor that hadn't happened in almost 15 years. Today would be 15 years to the day of the last time they matched up. Bryan Danielson coming out to the final countdown against Nigel McGuinness. I saw Nigel McGuinness make his first in-ring appearance in over a decade at Wembley Stadium, and it was just a run-in during the Casino Gauntlet match, but he did a great job out there. 20 minutes, pay-per-view caliber match, and hit his classic moves. Definitely a flashback to ROH. What'd you guys think of the American Dragon's quite possibly second to last match of his career?
Yeah, I mean, was it the best match these two have ever had? No. But did we expect it to be the best match these two have ever had? No. But for me, it was really cool to see it. And I think for a lot of wrestling fans, it was really cool to see this. This is something where we don't know how many more matches Danielson's going to have. This might have been Nigel's last match, and what a way to go out for Nigel. This was something that I'm very thankful AEW is around, because there's probably no way we would ever have gotten this without AEW being around. And with that being said, the match was good. Nigel looked like he didn't have much ring rust. Danielson always looks great. And it was just one of those classic matches. And to go 20 minutes after sitting at a commentary desk for the last, 10, 15 years, he looked great. And it was just nostalgia. It was fun. And that's what, at the end of the day, that's what wrestling is, right? I want to have fun while I watch wrestling. And I was able to kind of take myself back a couple years and have some fun watching Nigel and Danielson one more time.
And Mr. Cincinnati, your take on it?
Yeah, I don't think I could have said it any better myself. This was not anything that was going to light the world on fire, but this is, kind of that closing chapter in this 20+ year saga that is Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness. I mean, AEW, they put up the entire, I think all of their matches on YouTube in one giant compilation to kind of get people ready for it. This was exactly what it needed to be. I mean, these are two grizzled veterans. One had been away from the ring for a very long time. Bryan Danielson's nearing the end of his career, and he's certainly, he's coming in beat up. He's said he needs surgery. So those factors, we knew that there might be a step slower than they were back in the day, but that's just father time. It's just kind of like looking at the evolution of a Kobe or an MJ or a LeBron. They slowed down, but the one thing that you have to give both of these guys credit for is that mental acuity is still there. They still, the things they can't do physically anymore, they're just bringing that mental in even more, and that's exactly what they did here. Bryan Danielson's one of those guys that we're going to miss him when he's gone, and the fact that we're closer to the end than the beginning, especially when we almost didn't have him for a very long time, it's nice to see him going out on his own terms.
Well, and I'm thinking that they're setting it up to be the end, because there have been lots of talk that Wrestle Dream was going to be it. That's as close as they're going to get to his hometown. Yeah. They've made a lot of references, and they've been having Doug Sampson coming out at the end of every one of his matches, going back to Dynasty, when he had the match against Will Ospreay and looked like he was done. And, I was there too. It looked pretty bad. Now, they're probably leaning into it a little bit storyline wise, but I was a college athlete. I had a lot of injuries, and they don't go away. So I like the fact that he kept going back to his right arm throughout the match, because it ties into that. And I want to get your guys' take. Of course, the main event last night, Jon Moxley takes out Darby Allin to get that world title shot at Wrestle Dream. Do you think that what we're going to see is Jon Moxley beats Bryan Danielson in his hometown? Because that seems to be what was getting set up, and maybe they accelerated it because, hey, the health issues are in fact that real, and this is about it. You got the new Blackpool Combat Club along with Pac and the Problem, Marina Shafir. This is going to be Jon Moxley's fourth reign as the AEW champion, and he can set it up, and then you can go anywhere. That seems to be where it's going. I think we are seeing the end of the American Dragon coming up, especially with Moxley winning.
Yeah, like you said, I think they're kind of leaning into it a little bit, maybe a little bit more than they're actually letting on. I could see Moxley ending the reign for sure. If you remember, that's how the Blackpool Combat Club started, right? It was those two just beating the heck out of each other in a really bloody match on Dynamite. Yeah. And that would be fitting for it to end that way, with Moxley doing that. Do I see Moxley becoming champion again? Perhaps. We haven't seen a heel Moxley championship run. But that's kind of the good thing about this run is we don't know. We honestly don't know how long Danielson has left. It could be another 3-4 months. I mean, we just could he make it to that Japan card? We don't know. Yeah. So that, I think that's what makes this title run it's what's gonna make it a lot of fun. Is it literally could end whenever, and it could end on a Dynamite. It could end on a Collision. We just don't know. Yeah. So could I see it happening? Sure. Will I be surprised if it happens? No, but it's going to be fun, I think, on the way there.
Yeah, it gives added magnitude to each match. It's actually similar to what they did in TNA with Mickie James when she won the Knockouts Championship, and it was the last rodeo. She was going to retire as soon as she lost a match.
Yeah, and I think the underlying theme here too is uncertainty. Not just from the context of Bryan Danielson and kind of when this reign is going to end. Since Moxley has returned, we still don't really know the true motivation behind this character shift in this new look Blackpool Combat Club. And there really, and I like that there hasn't been a whole lot of explanation about it yet. We at least know that, Moxley knows one thing: gold. So maybe once that piece of the puzzle is complete to start this, kind of this new faction moving forward as a, integral piece of storytelling, we'll start to get a little bit more about the motivation of Moxley, especially now that he is a heel. We're used to seeing him as kind of the heart and soul of AEW through these 3 reigns and kind of that workhorse reliant wrestler. And now, where does he go from here now that, things have kind of changed? He's kicked Bryan Danielson out. I don't know. I think uncertainty and just that John Mox is probably the most dangerous one that we're going to see yet, because we don't know the motivation. That's even scarier.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a Wheeler Yuta beatdown coming up on Saturday.
Yeah.
Don't see it ending too well for Wheeler in this deal, because he still has 1/3 of the Trios Championship along with Pac and Claudio. And Wheeler's kind of pledged his allegiance to Brian. So any thoughts there? Are you a Wheeler Yuta fan, or is he kind of the Paul Roma of the Four Horsemen to the BCC?
No, not quite. I am a huge Wheeler Yuta fan. One of my favorite indie matches is him versus Trish Adora. But with Wheeler Yuta right now, there's still plenty of time for him to get a rub off of this new look Blackpool Combat Club. I mean, yes, they have the trios titles. I could see him, waging war with them, possibly costing them the trios championships. But I could also just see Wheeler Yuta falling back in line. That's kind of what happened the first time around. For whatever reason, they've tried that with Sammy Guevara and it hasn't really worked. And I think that's just because of the makeup of the Chris Jericho-led factions and kind of the penchant for the entertainment side of what those factions do. But
Sure.
Blackpool Combat Club is all about pain, strong style, hurting people, violence. That's a universal language in pro wrestling, and that's something I could see Wheeler, still falling in line eventually, much like a Jey Uso did.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know what this group's going to be. You have Claudio, you have Pac, you have Marina, you have Moxley. Do you need Wheeler Yuta in this group? I don't know if you do. He's kind of fallen in the background of the BCC anyway. Do you want to continue? What are your plans for Wheeler Yuta? Do you want him to be a mid-card, main event star moving forward, or do you want to continue him in this group? Or is this kind of the goal of this turn, is a breakout for Wheeler Yuta? It looks like you're going to lose Danielson.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying Wheeler Yuta will fill those shoes by any means, but you're going to need somebody to come combat, for lack of a better term, this new group, right?
Sure. Somebody to elevate up.
Is that who you're looking at to be your new breakout star? Perhaps. And if that's the case, you need to get him out sooner rather than later.
He's definitely got the ability to. I mean, he is one of the best tactical move for move wrestlers to have. But yeah, it would be nice to see him pull ahead a little bit. Another match, they did do something that a lot of people have been asking for: trim down the number of belts. Hook wins. And then after beating Roderick Strong and kind of surprisingly getting a handshake of respect from Roderick Strong in the Kingdom, went and handed the FTW belt to his dad, Taz, and retired it. So do we see Hook moving up to challenge for the TNT title now? It would seem to be the next step for him.
Yeah, he has the history with Jack Perry. Hello, CM Punk, breaking the fourth wall. But he, that's what kind of started the whole scapegoat thing. An idea that I threw out on our show today actually was, it looks like MVP is now a part of AEW. We have the Hurt Syndicate.
The Hurt Syndicate, yeah.
Hook, it wouldn't hurt Hook to have a mouthpiece, and that could be a good group for him to join to kind of take him to that next level. Hey, he's been in the FTW whatever group for a while, and it's basically a hardcore championship at this point.
Yes.
If you want to really take him seriously and make him kind of this character that no nonsense, doesn't talk, just does whatever he wants, put him with MVP. MVP will get him over and get him to that next level, because being in a group with MVP, Swerve, possibly Bobby Lashley, that's going to elevate Hook. But I think, this is kind of that Wheeler Yuta situation. If you're going to have him be your breakout star, you got to start moving it now, because you're starting to lose some pieces, as in Danielson. We don't know where Adam Cole is, or if he is coming back with his injury. MJF has an eye on doing some other things as well. So there's a little bit of a void. Yeah. It's time to start elevating this younger talent.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get the Rated R Superstar back here probably in about 4 months. So, yeah, it is a little bit of an in-between period. Well, what better time for the almighty Bobby Lashley to come in, a guy who's from the area that I'm broadcasting from. He's from about 90 minutes away from here. Are you guys excited about seeing Bobby Lashley return? An older wrestler, obviously, but a guy who looks way, way younger than he is and has the ability to still really go. I mean, he can wrestle a lot more than he was allowed to show in WWE, where he was basically forced down to just a couple of moves and ending everything with the Hurt Lock. What do you guys think? Are you excited to see Bobby Lashley make a return?
Yeah, very much so. There are a number of big men on the roster that would benefit from a program with Bobby Lashley, Will Hobbs, Lance Archer. I know Podcast Dad is going to hate me for throwing this name out there. I'm sorry, but Wardlow also. I mean,
Sure.
a lot of these big guys, can benefit from some interaction with him. Ricochet's over there now. I mean, they always worked very, very well together in WWE. I mean, those clashes of styles always make for good television. This is a huge move for him, and we, it's a new, fresh face in the AEW World Championship picture. I don't want to see Bobby Lashley going for a TNT Championship or anything that isn't the world title at this point. They need to treat him like an attraction, essentially. We'll see how they actually pull that off in execution. But I mean, he certainly has the upside.
Yeah. And go ahead. I was just going to say, just a absolutely physically imposing person who is actually also a championship level amateur wrestler. He was the U.S. military wrestling champion. So the guy isn't just a body guy. He can legitimately technically wrestle.
Yeah, and I mean, adding another veteran to your locker room is not going to hurt. I mean, somebody that's been there, somebody that's been the WWE when he was really young, had to leave, go make his name for himself again, come back to WWE, reach the top of the mountain, and now coming back and kind of giving it back, just like Adam Copeland was doing, right? Same thing Christian Cage is doing. I don't see how it hurts AEW. Will they get the narrative of, they just signed ex-WWE guys? Sure, who cares? They're not going anywhere. Like, they have the stars, so it's not like a TNA situation, which TNA's still around, by the way, and everybody thought they were going to die off when they kept signing WWE guys.
They're not going anywhere.
So it doesn't hurt. There's more places to work, and that's a good thing. So having Bobby Lashley back on my screen is totally fine.
Well, and how many shows like ours was it a constant topic? It was like the sports talk topic back when I did sports radio. Okay, should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame or not? Go ahead, fill up the phone lines. Let's talk about it. Wrestling shows, are they going to reunite the Hurt Business? People were asking for it the whole time since they stopped the Hurt Business. And the faction that I saw at WrestleMania, Bobby Lashley, the Street Profits, and BFAB was kind of like a knockoff parody version of the Hurt Business that never really took off. But I think now you are going to see it, because you know it's coming, and it would actually be a perfect place for Powerhouse Hobbs too, who should be about ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy program that you start with the two of them and spin them off, and a babyface Will Hobbs could be a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely, and Will Hobbs is a guy who can talk too if he gets the opportunity to. So definitely a talent that will be welcome back. Let's get to the other championship match, the tag team. Well, 2 championship matches. We'll hit the women's and then go to the tag title. Women's tag team match, I don't think anyone thought the magical girl Yuka was going to win, but Mariah May dispatches her, and you get the return of Mina Shirakawa. And setting up that next match, it looks like we're going to get Willow Nightingale. I've really been impressed with how they've helped build out the women's card. I think they're doing just a night and day better job with building their women's roster than they did a couple of years ago. and they're continuing it. And we still have Timeless Tony Storm waiting in the background somewhere for her return close-up. Are you guys enjoying the Mariah May, the Glamour Championship run?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when we first heard that she was signed, I mean, we just immediately thought star overnight. I mean, that's just, she has that look, she has that presence. Hell of a wrestler, very technically minded. That shotgun drop kick that she pulls off every week into people into the barricade, it just works. Everything is perfect about the presentation. I like the fact they're setting up Willow. The only thing I just didn't understand last night, where they had Mina's music hit to create some confusion. It just didn't. I don't know if whatever that intended result was what actually played off on screen. It just, I don't know that it added a ton to setting up Willow. I know that there's some friction between Mina and Mariah. I just think they could have executed that in a different way. But Mariah May and Willow Nightingale, sign me up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Willow's an interesting choice, I think, to be the next challenger. I definitely thought, based on her feud with Statlander, that maybe Statlander would be the next in line. But you have two heels going at it, so that dynamic may not work as well. I thought Willow would maybe go after Mercedes next, which I kind of wanted to see that program again and kind of give Mercedes a feud to sink her teeth into. But I mean, I'm not going to complain about a Willow-Mariah May match. It's going to be good. I don't see Willow winning this one. I think we're waiting for Toni Storm to come back and feud with Mariah May again. But yeah, like the direction the division is going, much better, night and day than what it was if we were talking about this last year. Night and day. So
well, and from a management perspective, looking outside of the ring, they love Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale was one of the two wrestlers who presented the Fulham women's team with the championship belt to help announce the sponsorship of that English Premier League soccer team. AEW is the front of the kit sponsor for the Fulham women's team and the EPL. Willow was there. Willow was the one doing all the New York media leading up to Grand Slam. So she is a good spokesperson, a true face of the company, the person that is set out front to be the marketable face, really. I mean, literally of the company. So I'm sure championship's coming to her relatively soon, and it'll be interesting to see how it segs into that match that the diehard wrestling fans, the sickos, as Willow would call them, are looking forward to. That is Mercedes Moné against Willow Nightingale, because it would be a rematch of that New Japan Strong Women's title where Mercedes had the broken ankle through no fault of Willow Nightingale's. But, it can obviously be a big story element that ties off of a real accident. We could definitely see that. Tag team match. Young Bucks going against the United Empire. Terrific match.
Yeah.
Again, another pay-per-view level match. The Young Bucks are getting out there and actually working a bunch of matches after being kind of absentee tag team champions. Did the right team win? Did you guys want to see the United Empire win? Because it looks like what we're getting is a breakup of the Don Callis family.
No, I did not want to see the United Empire win, because I think we're going to end up getting Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, which, sign me up. I think that would be a great match. Ospreay has a championship that he would not get hurt by losing, and I think would boost Kyle Fletcher very high up. Ospreay doesn't need a title. I think we're at the point already in his AEW run where he doesn't really need a title. There's no reason for him to have one unless it's the World Championship, which right now he doesn't really need. So I think he's enough of an attraction to carry a match on his own where the stakes are just you're wrestling Will Ospreay. That's your championship. Like, you get to have a match of the year candidate. So I didn't want them to win. Young Bucks are fine. I think we're waiting for a team to step up, like an actual tag team to step up to challenge them. I don't know who it is right now, but I didn't see the need to change the straps right now.
That's fair.
Yeah. First, I think it should be the Outrunners that take the titles off the Young Bucks. That's just me. But yeah, I don't know how many times I've said it on our show. Kyle Fletcher is a future AEW World Champion, and if there was ever a time to really create a singles star, now is it. Don Callis continues to be one of the best managers in wrestling, and anything he touches just turns to gold and rains booze. So especially if he does something super dastardly to take the title off of Ospreay to really bring that drama into it as well. Yeah, again, another match of the year contender that will. I mean, every single match that Will Ospreay has been in this year has been a match of the year contender. So, get Kyle Fletcher getting that rub and taking the international championship too. I mean, yeah, let's go.
And Kyle Fletcher, right? You got to give him credit. That's a guy you can tell has been putting in the work in and outside of the ring. He's spent a lot of time in the gym since arriving as part of Aussie Open. It looks like a different person, actually, which is
definitely,
it's pretty impressive, man. It takes some work to get in that kind of shape while still wrestling all the matches he's wrestling. Talking about Will Ospreay, match of the year candidates, going to have his matchup first time in a long time against Ricochet coming up next week on the 5th anniversary of Dynamite. You guys looking forward to Ricochet and easily the highest profile spot he's had since coming to AEW.
It's going to divide the internet. I know that. They're going to talk. They're going to be talking about it for sure.
Sure.
I think people are going to really like this match, or they're really going to hate this match. Because I don't know if everybody's seen the match that they had that Vader just hated, right? That where it was all choreographed and blah blah blah. Right? I think it's going to divide people a little bit. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. You're going to have Ricochet go out there and kind of do what Ricochet does best, and Will Ospreay do what Ospreay does best. And it should be a lot of fun, which is what wrestling is fun. I think the internet's going to either go one way or completely go the other way. So I'm excited to see the reaction to it.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly hope not. I mean, this is a match that we didn't know when we were going to get this again. It's been 7-8 years at this point since we've seen it. So, again, Ospreay is doing some of the best work of his career right now in AEW. Ricochet, they have he's undefeated, I think, going into this match as well. They've certainly made him feel important, which was something that he was striving for in WWE towards the end there and wanting to, really show people what he can do. They're both just going to let loose. I don't care. I mean, we know the style of these matches already. And, hopefully people are going back and watching some of the older, matches just to kind of get themselves conditioned for this. I mean, I know I certainly have.
Sure.
But yeah, I just think they're just going to both let it rip next week. I mean, this is 8 years in the making at this point. So let them cook.
Yeah, no, it should be a great match and some terrific TV. Again, another pay-per-view caliber matchup. Well, talking about not pay-per-views, but premium live events, let's switch over to the other side of the coin, the WWE. They're making more news because they did announce today that SummerSlam coming to MetLife Stadium in the New York Metroplex. It was promoted as coming to New Jersey because they're getting backed by the New Jersey Sports Commission. But it is New York. It's where the Giants play. It's where the Jets play. It's right outside of NYC. It's going to be a huge event. I mean, it's going to raise SummerSlam up to WrestleMania level with a whole week full of events. And I think that's time. It's well past time that was ready, because you can definitely do 2 nights of SummerSlam. There's enough wrestlers. There's enough excitement. And it makes it more of a destination for fans to travel to. You guys excited about the SummerSlam news?
Oh yeah, and I think going to SummerSlam as we have the last 2 years, they take over I've never been to a WrestleMania, but you can kind of feel the atmosphere, right? People are excited. We went this year. We went Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, it was a whole thing, and it was like indie takeover. You had multiple shows there, multiple promotions taking over, a lot of wrestlers in the area. SummerSlam was a huge event. They, stadium was there, just everything, right? It felt like a huge deal. And it going 2 nights just makes business sense, right? They're going to make a lot of money doing this.
Oh, yeah.
And you have the talent to do it. Like you said, they have enough on the roster to do it. Yeah, it's your second biggest show of the year, and it's kind of that mid-season that you've placed in there. Why not?
Absolutely, because I mean, here, Mr. Cincinnati talking about how it takes over the city, and this is New York, but here another massive entertainment mecca, Las Vegas. All they had to do was say WrestleMania is coming. Tickets aren't going on sale until next month, but the Future Star of Wrestling Arena, the FSW Arena, is already booked with 20 shows. The Silverton Casino already has shows. We had Brittany Brooks on, the center of attention. She is working hard to rehab her ACL to be ready to wrestle in 10 or 15 of those shows, and hoping for WWE to hold an NXT tryout along with that. So, I mean, that's the kind of level of excitement that a WrestleMania brings. And you're able to double it up for SummerSlam. Why not? Because you're going to get more people to travel knowing, okay, hey, I've got Friday Night SmackDown. There's probably going to be an NXT show. I got Saturday night, Sunday night, and then I can stay for Monday Night Raw. And if you're a big time wrestling fan, you can make a week of it, and then you're in New York City, so there's plenty of stuff to do too. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and I think it's also a nice trade-off because we have seen WWE going international more and more. So the opportunities to see APLE in the United States are going to become much more limited, most likely to these big four. North America, if you want to include Money in the Bank, if they want to keep that, generally here.
Sure.
But yeah, expanding to 2 nights, I mean, it benefits everybody. Like you said, 15 or 20 shows already booked. Brittany Brooks trying to work that knee and get ready to go. Like they're creating, I mean, it's just a windfall effect. And that's, I mean, why we talk so much about the importance of independent wrestling to, and how it is symbiotic with WWE. And this is just great. I mean, at this point, it's been 2 years in a row. We might have to make it 3. I know we're considering the Rumble and Indy too. We'll see. We'll see. That wasn't a no. So
you guys want to join me at Forbidden Door in London?
Yeah, let me
I gotta get a passport.
It's nice.
Let me convince the wife.
Okay. Well, she would like it. She would like Harrods. It's pretty impressive. The WWE is having a premium live event in Atlanta. Bad Blood. Are you guys feeling the excitement of the original tribal chief, Roman Reigns, teaming up with the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes as they go after the new bloodline? Is this a logical, I'd say the end, but Paul Heyman says they're still only in the 3rd inning of the bloodline story. Oh. Is this a logical continuation of the bloodline story?
Yeah, 1,000%. This was, and I know that the segment was very divisive on social media that they filmed at Georgia Tech, but for so long, WWE has kind of branded themselves, the entertainment, they make movies, so to see them incorporating some of these cinematic elements that we do see elsewhere, it's a great touch because WWE's production value is just second to none. Yeah. And, what they did here and showing the importance of Atlanta to both Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, the fact that this is the anniversary of the original Hell in a Cell, there's all of these ties that are kind of swirling around across, the larger stories in WWE right now. And this one just makes sense. This hits all of the right notes. We knew that it was going to take some time for them to kind of get on the same page. They eventually will. I think that people, have some fair criticisms in the canon aspect of Cody Rhodes just kind of always being too trusting of people and getting himself in situations he doesn't need to be in anymore. But he's the face of the company now. He feels like he's got that Super Cena-esque energy right now where he kind of has to be the one navigating and trying to keep the peace across the SmackDown roster.
Oh, very much so.
No, I think it's logical. both of them. Solo has been a thorn in both of their sides. What's the phrase? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like,
Sure.
They're going, hey, we need to team up. We need to squash this because Roman's like, I'm done with this. This is not the bloodline I created. Yeah. Cody's like, I'm so tired of all these Samoans coming after me, right? And he's done with that. So get together, team up, take these guys out, end it, and then you two can go finish your business, right? That's kind of what this is let's take care of the stuff on the side so we can finish what we started, because they have a trilogy waiting to happen, but we need to take care of these guys first. It makes sense. People are going to be upset about it, i.e. Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, who is definitely going to be pissed because you're teaming up with the guy that almost took me out, and you gave Kevin Owens a title shot, not me. So I think Randy Orton is going to be lurking, and I would not trust that snake. So if I'm Cody, like Eric said, stop trusting everybody. You have the biggest target on your back. Stop trusting everybody.
Yeah. You got the belt. You can't trust anyone, right?
Mm-mm.
No.
He should know that.
So,
do you see a clean finish coming out of this match, or does it evolve down to a mess and we see the rest of the bloodline running out there and we get this to continue to another PLA?
I think it's going to be a mess, but I hope Cody can get away from the mess. Because I want this to be Roman's and the bloodline.
His battle.
I want Cody to go do something else. I said on our show, I think last week or this week, I can't remember. This is it. This is all I want to see Cody do with the bloodline for a couple months until we get The Rock back, or we do the thing with Roman. Like, I don't want to see Cody involved with the bloodline anymore. Let Cody do his own thing with his championship, and let him do that. You have the second. I mean, especially with SmackDown going to 3 hours, you have enough time to do this separately. Sure. So let this be Roman's like, man, I need help. And let it eventually lead to the Usos coming back together, whatever it may be. But let this be it with Cody. It should end in a giant smudge or chaos finish or whatever it may be. But let this be Cody's kind of way to get out of it.
Yeah, especially because, okay, sorry, John.
I was going to say it would be a good time for Jey Uso to show back up now that he has the IC title too.
Yeah, and I said this on our show too, with Jay, when they split him and Jimmy and wanted to see kind of what do we have in the way of single stars. I mean, it took them a while to get this up and running, but much like LA Knight, this has been kind of a year-long story arc because, I think it was about this time last year that Jay and Cody won the tag team titles, and I was just kind of like, all right, yeah, this is fine, and whatever. But main event Jey Uso has just gotten himself over so organically with the crowd that it was hard. As surprising as it was to see Braun lose, it was also hard to deny Jay that moment because, especially with the post-match comments, this is I think Podcast Dad thinks this is kind of the peak of Jey Uso right now as far as his WWE career and this singles. Kind of being it instead of a singles career.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I think Jay had to come back as not just the right-hand man in order for this story to work. And I think we needed to see, it's unfortunate that Jimmy got hurt because I think that we would have seen them try to make him more of a priority this summer too, just so it does kind of feel like, almost an Avengers Assemble where everybody has kind of gone away and gotten themselves stronger. As far as Cody Rhodes goes, there's always that lull for him this time of year until we get to Rumble season to build the WrestleMania program. Mm-hmm. You've got, two potential feuds in Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Neither of these rivalries really need to have definitive finishes right now, but something to keep them busy in Survivor Series or on, a premium TV event in December would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, just to ask, because we went into Jey Uso winning the IC title, surprising, like you said, that Braun Breaker drops it on his second defense. Does this give Braun Breaker the chance to move up to challenging the ring general Gunther for the world title? Because, I think everybody, Mr. Cincinnati Podcast, I'd imagine we all agree that Braun Breaker is a future WWE World Champion at some point, and maybe some point fairly soon. Do we think that's next up for him?
Chris, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, he's going to be a future world champion. Is he going to go now? Maybe. I don't know how long this Jey Uso reign's going to be, right? Like, this could be a 3 to 4 week reign that they're just capitalizing on the moment of Jey Uso winning that IC championship, right? I cannot disagree with him winning because of the moment that they got in that live reaction.
Yeah.
Braun moving up, yeah. I mean, there's history with Braun and Gunther. I think Braun is one of three people to actually beat Gunther. So, yeah, he can make his way and go, hey, I've beaten you. I'm going to do it again. And they obviously see a lot in Braun Breaker, as they should. Yeah, and they're kind of in this, like Eric said, this lull of until we get to Rumble season. And we usually see them kind of randomly pull out a challenger or so to see what happens, right? I wouldn't be upset at all because, yes, Braun will be a future champion. Why not throw him in the deep end and see how he does?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, they're slowly priming the audience for this babyface turn, you know, getting the crowds to bark with him and getting that engagement. You know, he's been predominantly used as a babyface for his WWE run, and then doing the heel turn in NXT just to kind of see what we have in the event we want to go in this direction. And it did work. It did work, but I think it's kind of just the natural evolution of this. It's just a badass with freaky speed and strength that we just want to see beat people up and spear from halfway around the ring. I mean, there's a lot to buy into with that. And like Chris said, throwing him into the deep end and having age be one of those factors in this match, in a match with Gunther. I mean, there's a story right there. I mean, in with how diabolical we're seeing Gunther as world champion right now to use that youth and kind of toy with him a little bit despite the loss. Braun's leveled up, but so is Gunther. So I think it'd be a fun match.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Braun Breaker is a very impressive person to see in person too. He got Baron Corbin over.
Yeah.
Yes,
when they were NXT Tag Champions. That's an accomplishment.
Yes, he did.
I forgot about that.
I did too.
one other match coming up at Bad Blood. Have we seen enough of CM Punk against Drew McIntyre? This one is going to be a hell in a cell. CM Punk, a clean, decisive win over Drew McIntyre in the strap match. Are we going to see this again? Or I mean, this is Drew's chance to win, right? What do you think?
Maybe. I want to see this match. I think it's a logical conclusion to the feud. You want to make the Hell in a Cell mean something again. I think this is the feud that deserves it, right? It's gotten so personal. They've been doing this for a little over not over a year, but close to a year at this point.
Getting close. When this match happens, it'll be almost a year.
So it's logical, right? And Punk coming back was polarizing anyway, and Drew is playing this character, maybe it's not a character sometimes, that was pissed when Punk came back because, hey, you're here to take my spot kind of thing. Is Drew going to win? I don't know. Punk might win and then go on. Maybe Punk's Gunther's challenger. I don't know. But I want to see this match. This is the Hell in a Cell that I want to see, right? Because I think these two are going to beat the crap out of each other, and that's what I want to see. It kind of reminds me of Cody and Seth, right? When they had their Hell in a Cell, like that was a logical conclusion to that feud. I think this is the logical conclusion to this feud. Yeah.
And honestly, I don't care who wins this match. I genuinely don't. I mean, the way that they have told this story, and kind of, revitalizing and showing how important social media can be to telling a story, especially with CM Punk being hurt for most of the year. They've both been at the top of their game. That whoever wins, great. Seth Rollins, whenever he comes back, is still waiting in the wings. I know he's also going to want to go after Bronson Reed as well, but there's a number of stories you can tell individually with these guys. Not just WrestleMania, but looking to next SummerSlam.
Sure. Well, and when CM Punk went to WWE, I think we actually talked about how you got to be careful how you use him, because if you build a big program around this guy, man, he may not be there. They've done a good job of using CM Punk and dramatically limiting his amount of time in the ring. He probably wrestled way too much in AEW and really kind of set himself up to fail with the injuries. He's only had 4 matches if you count the one dark match in WWE in almost a year. And that's probably not a bad idea given the injury history. So they've gotten the most they could out of him.
Especially with the amount of money he generates for merchandise and just showing up at NXT. I mean, they've already gotten a return on their investment in him 3 or 4 times over at this point already. It's probably not even close. This is I still don't believe we were talking about CM Punk back in WWE in 2024, but no, this has been the perfect use for him. Let him go be a special guest referee. Let him just kind of be that utility player, to borrow a baseball term from the podcast.
Sure.
Just put him wherever you need him. He'll generate eyes and revenue regardless of whether he steps between the ropes.
And hey, just one more question, kind of related to CM Punk. We're going to get the debut of NXT on the CW. So they're moving over to broadcast TV. Every TV in the country, if you have an antenna, you get the CW. CM Punk being the special guest, the host in Chicago. Are you guys excited about NXT? Do you think this move elevates NXT? Or is it really just kind of a lateral move and we're going to still stay on the same position?
This is your first part with Punk. I can't wait to see Drew come in and kick his head off.
That's coming.
Because that's coming. We'll see. They've tried this before when they moved him to USA, and it was fine. I think we're still going to look at it as the third brand, but that's okay. If it's a lateral move, it's a lateral move. I mean, they're going to make more money anyway. If this means they tour again, I think that would mean something. I don't think they're going to stay in wherever they're at now, that studio. I think they're going to be moving and touring a little bit more, it would be good for the talent not to see the same crowd every week. So a little bit of a level up. As far as seeing them as like, are they going to jump SmackDown or Raw? No, I don't think so.
No, and as evident, week 2 is in St. Louis, just down the road for me. They were going to play at one of the big arenas in St. Louis. There's a 20,000 seat arena and a 17,000 seat arena downtown, basically right next to each other. The Blues Arena and the Chaffetz Center, which is the arena at St. Louis University. They're not going to either one of those. They're going to a suburban arena at Chesterfield that has a capacity of like 2,000, and it's a moved event. They moved from the NHL arena to that arena in Chesterfield. So I guess that kind of shows that it's not just a third brand. It is the third brand, even at a super strong wrestling city like St. Louis. They're going to draw about 2,000 people. So they moved it. I believe last week they moved the venue from the big arena to the small arena. And that's even with hometown hero Randy Orton as the host that week. But it's good, right? More exposure, more TV time, good for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be mad at a 2,000 seat arena when the current venue holds maybe 25% of that, and that's being generous. NXT, has always had that indie feel with WWE production value. I think, to Chris's point, it's a level up if it becomes a regular touring brand again.
See what you did there.
Yeah,
maybe I'll actually watch.
Continuing.
Yeah, and that would be good for them too. So it works if it's a touring brand again. I mean, as a viewer, I don't necessarily care whether it's broadcast or cable. It is a chance to get a lot more eyes on the product, but yeah, it's good all around. Just I think that's the big X factor for me, is wanting to see them just on the road again.
Yeah, if they're committing to a touring schedule full time.
Correct.
There's been plenty of reports that they're going to move the Performance Center to Las Vegas, so I could see that being a venue. They do have the UFC facility right there, so they'd have a natural venue, and obviously you'd get a different flow of people in, because make it a show in Vegas, you'll sell it out every week, and you can draw more people. Well, with that, we're winding it down here. Let's go ahead to our weekly champion segment.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Taya Valkyrie La Huera Loca, and you are watching Wrestling Spotlight.
Got the belt right here. Podcast Dad, who's your champion of the week?
My champion of the week is someone that is near and dear to our hearts. Hakeem Young, this is the only title that you're going to get, because you cannot get the Coastal Empire champion that you so greatly desired. So you're going to get this title. Hope you like it, pal.
There you go.
Yeah, I have to echo the sentiment. I mean, for a little backstory, Hakeem Young and the Flying Fro Michael Walker have been going at it for the Coastal Chaos Championship. This is essentially their workhorse Intercontinental Championship, and over the last couple of months, Hakeem Young has been a thorn in the side of the Flying Fro, even slammed his right leg into a car door to make a match easier for him last month. The proverbial one-legged man in a kicking contest, and he still went to a draw and didn't win. So, no one deserves this more.
Okay. Well, and I'm going to go with a guy who stepped up to the plate in a tough situation. Huge crowd, New York City, big show, live TV. Nigel McGuinness, congratulations. Great effort, 20-plus minutes after not wrestling a legitimate match in almost 15 years. Great job. Champion of the week, Nigel McGuinness. I appreciate it, though, with the Coastal Championship Wrestling. And guys, tell us a little bit about what you do with them and where people can find the rest of the work of the Wrestling Junkies podcast that they don't see on Wrestling Spotlight TV.
Yeah, so you can follow us at Junkies Pod on X, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We are the official pre and post show of Coastal Empire Wrestling. So our most recent show after the Empire recaps Legends of the Low Country, the event that took place last month. That is live on our YouTube channel. Tomorrow we will have the official countdown show, Coastal Countdown for Talk is Cheap, which will be coming up this weekend. The shows are available on the pre and post shows are on our Wrestling Junkies channel, but the events are usually uploaded about 2 weeks after each event. So just check in with us every couple of weeks. You can find all of our information. We're always posting about what we're doing with these guys. So make sure to give them a follow as well.
Awesome. And Podcast Dad, any final words as we wrap it up here?
Have fun with wrestling. Enjoy it. That's what it's here for. Stop the tribalism. We just saw Nigel McGuinness and Bryan Danielson. Like, how could you not have fun with that? So, wrestling's fun. Let it be what it's supposed to be. Just have fun, please.
There you go. Well, hey, thanks for the Wrestling Junkies podcast for stepping in here. Follow the guys on YouTube and hit a subscription too. Let's get them up to 1,000 subscribers, and follow them on X and repost. And stay tuned here to Wrestling Spotlight. We got some great action coming up from Pro South Wrestling, from POW Wrestling, Glory Pro, where you can see a match with your current NXT champion, All Ego Ethan Page, when he was in the ring with Glory Pro Wrestling from St. Louis. For Mr. Cincinnati and the Podcast Dad, I'm Gerald Bentley. Thanks for joining us here on Weekly Champions of Wrestling Spotlight. Have a good night.